Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we're discussing about Vitalik Buterin and we need some positive news. I know everybody's panicking right now. Bitcoin did go above $40,000 and Ethereum is doing pretty well, still considered where you would have been if you bought in January. So even though a lot of people are freaking out, there's a lot of FUD. Ethereum's at 2,747, so it's doing a little bit better than yesterday. It's approaching 3 grand and at its all-time high it was at $4,400. So obviously Vitalik Buterin, even though he did sell a lot of his Ethereum years ago, he is technically a billionaire. Then we had a lot of these Dogecoin clones, these dog coins, these Elon coins that started coming up, these crap coins that are worthless. And what a lot of people discovered is since everything is public on the blockchain, unless you're dealing with Monero or specific privacy coins, it's basically free marketing. If you know a specific address belongs to a very well-known individual in the cryptocurrency space, such as Vitalik, you are able to send him tokens if it's an ERC20 token, and it's going to show up. And suddenly he's going to be gifted free money where eventually if the price pumps up, it could be worth potentially billions of dollars. But that publicity is to try and get the developers rich of these projects because they send a huge amount of these coins which are worthless from the very beginning. It costs them zero. It doesn't matter how much it's going to be worth in the future because it costs them zero to send it. And without that publicity, without these articles discussing about that, without the spam from these communities, they might not be able to cash out their millions of dollars later on. But this is exactly what happened with a few of these top projects, such as Shiba Inu, Akita, and recently Doge Elon, which is a mixture of Dogecoin and Elon Musk. And there's been hundreds of these Elon Musk coins, and Vitalik received these donations and decided, hey, let's just burn through a lot of money. Let's burn through Shiba Inu. He did donate a little bit. He donated some Akita. He was in the news for donating well over $1 billion at the time to an India COVID relief fund, amongst other charities, and Vitalik has been known for donating in the past before. Obviously, if you're a very wealthy individual who's 20-something years old, he did state in the past that money doesn't really matter that much to him because he's not, super flashy. He doesn't live that luxury lifestyle. He doesn't care about that. So he's able to donate a lot of money, and regardless, he's always going to be rich because he has a very valuable technical skill set. And even if he somehow fell from his grace, he'd still be paid hundreds of thousands of dollars probably for speaking around the world because everyone wants to know what's inside of his brain. He's a super genius. But we already made a video in the past before about him and how much Ethereum he sold. His journey started when he decided to drop out of university because of the Peter Thiel grant. Peter Thiel is a Silicon Valley investor, a billionaire, multi-billionaire that's actually friends with Elon Musk, and they're from the original PayPal mafia, so it kind of gets a little bit interesting, right? Peter Thiel gave him a $100,000 grant to drop out of school, and he made Ethereum. There we go. What a fantastic investment. And recently, he's been offloading a lot of these crap coins, either through burning them or through donating them, and this is the only viable strategy for him, unless he wanted to cash out everything, which he knows in the short term, yes, he would be a billionaire, but he doesn't really care about that money. And in the long term, if he really was thinking logically, as he has been over the past few years of his life, he will become a multi-billionaire regardless, because all of this is cyclical. So Ethereum is most likely going to continue growing up until 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Who knows how this will go? And if he ruins his reputation right now by cashing out a lot of these crap coins, people might not be as willing to invest into his other ideas in the future. Who knows? Maybe Ethereum is just a prelude to whatever the next big thing is, right? So he doesn't want to sell it. He doesn't want to use it for personal use. And if he donates these crap coins, first of all, it hurts the publicity of these developers who are sending them mischievously because they wanted to cash out from this publicity. If he burns them, technically in a way, burning should reduce the supply and burning should make them rare and more valuable. But in this case, since the market crashed, it was just a sign from one of the most powerful people in cryptocurrency that this is a joke. This is a sham. These are scams. Do not invest in them. So he gave over $1 billion to a COVID relief fund, and some people weren't really happy. He's donating a lot of money to people who are in need of it, and a Telegram group called War on Rugs hates rug pulls because technically by dumping and removing his Shiba Inu collapsed quite a lot, and this group came out and they're starting a war against Elon, and they're saying they want to collapse the market for Ethereum by, I don't know, they want to dump Ethereum for rival BNB, and that's great. I love BNB, but it's just a stupid PR thing. But a lot of people in the media ignored one thing that is rather important. It's not just this COVID relief fund. That's also a short-term thing. I think COVID is going to be, around probably for the next few years. It's going to be like the common flu. Poor countries will need donations and money to, get better medicine and these vaccines and whatever, but even more important than a disease right now. So people are going to be like, well, what do you mean what's more important? Is death, the question of death and immortality. And Vitalik Buterin, as many billionaires, are interested in this. And Peter Thiel himself is very interested in this. A lot of people from Silicon Valley. So a lot of people just kind of ignored this other donation, which was at the time still big. But since he donated in crap coin, some media outlets were reporting that he donated $336 million in addition to the $1 billion to a life extension charity, a not-for-profit. And if we go look at his philanthropy, in 2017, he donated around $763,000 worth of Ethereum to the Machine Intelligence Research Institute. And he donated $2.4 million of Ethereum to the SENS Research Foundation in 2018. Now, what is the SENS Research Foundation? It's a non-for-profit organization that does research programs and public relations work for the application of regenerative medicine to aging. It was founded in 2009 by Aubrey de Grey. And if you don't know who Aubrey de Grey is, he is a pretty interesting character, and he has got a lot of YouTube videos out there and interviews and discussing about his research. He is an author and a biomedical gerontologist. He wants to extend life and hopefully in the future explore the concept of immortality. A lot of people do believe that it is possible, and the theme for the SENS Research Foundation is undoing aging. They want to work to develop, promote, and ensure widespread access to therapies that cure and prevent the diseases and disabilities of aging by comprehensively repairing the damage that builds up in our bodies over time. And every single day you're alive after 20-something years old, you're well on your way to dying. Your body is already beginning, in your 20s, it's beginning to degenerate. And one of those big things is, unfortunately, just like metal starts rusting from oxygen, so does our body just by breathing. Even though it's absolutely necessary, there is no cure to death at the moment. A lot of people do think that if we cure diseases first off, that is going to extend our life, but then we have to figure out how can we commit to pumping our heart forever or getting all these organs, some of these non-replaceable organs. Can we get 3D printed organs? And scientists have already started working on them. Technically, there already existing technology to keep our heart pumping forever. Now, of course, that's not the only important thing because we have to protect our brain. It's a super complex topic, but without research funds, we will never be able to explore immortality. And without these billionaires helping them, because obviously for selfish reasons, they want to live as long as possible. No one wants to die. But the average person who donates $5 or $10 for this isn't really going to be able to help as much as a billionaire who's able to donate hundreds of millions of dollars. And for some of these foundations, for some of these charities, for some of these companies, these startups, it's great if you're working with pharmaceutical companies, but that only addresses one part of the problem. It's super widespread, and there's a ton of super smart people who are trying to cure this, hopefully within our lifetime or the next lifetime. It's just as important as space exploration. Some people might be asking, well, if we look into the SENS Institute, if we type in Aubrey de Grey net worth, we see that he's worth $2 million, $3 million. So somebody on Quora asked, what's Aubrey de Grey's worth and where did he get the money to personally support the SENS research? And surprisingly on Quora, Aubrey de Grey actually answered on 2016. As of now, my net worth is around $2 million, of which only a small minority is in any way disposable. I inherited about $16.5 million from my mother in 2001, of which I donated about $13 million to SENS Research Foundation, or more precisely to our UK affiliate. Of the remainder on which inheritance tax was payable, it was reduced to about $2 million. I spent the majority on the house where I live now in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And of course, with appreciation and inflation, $16 million, $16.5 million back in 2001, that was 2 decades ago. That's well over $20 million today, actually even more. So far, so good. I'll take this opportunity to mention that I and my colleagues at SENS decided in 2011 to spend this money over a period of 5 years, and we judge that to be a good balance between getting it put to good research and keeping us afloat long enough to bring in an additional money. And obviously, they're getting more money through funding right now. So this guy got an inheritance. He used most of that to start up, hopefully, something that is able to change people's lives in the future. And I think this is pretty important. If you're interested in this topic, there's going to be a few subreddits and a forum. It's called Longicity, and there's a subreddit about longevity and a forum about futurology. This is super interesting stuff. If you want to live longer, definitely look more into it. And another foundation that Vitalik donated to was the Methuselah Foundation. In addition to his original $2.4 billion, he also donated another $50,000 last year but alongside two other individuals, which brought it up to a total of $150,000. And I think this is going to be a recurring theme where every time he gets more and more money, he's going to be sending it out as long as these foundations are good. And a lot of people trust Aubrey de Grey.
So Elon donated to the Methuselah Foundation, and if you ever watched this epic Netflix TV series, Altered Carbon, absolutely fantastic. There's these figures called the Meths, and they're the most powerful, the wealthiest, and immortal people who are able to live forever and ever, and they're just gods, basically, above everybody else. Meths are short for Methuselahs, and that is coming from, the name of this foundation as well is coming from Methuselah, a biblical figure who was supposedly the longest living human on Earth. I think it was 939 years. So over 900 years, definitely much longer than the actual record for human life, which I think was a Japanese lady, which was 132 years old, but I could be wrong. But there's been plenty of people past 120 years. And obviously, this is something that is going to be of great importance within the coming decades, where the average lifespan is rising. Many countries are now above 80 years old, except I think America, where it's 78, 79 because of diabetes and obesity issues and stuff like that. But still, we are generally on the right track, where there's a lot of countries over 80 and 82, 83, some even 85, and that's the average lifespan, where a lot of people are living into their 90s and 100s. But the problem is, are you able to live a long life without having diseases, without having, for example, let's say tinnitus, something that really affects your life and something that could potentially lead to an even worse disease, because those with hearing loss, those who are losing their vision, those who have memory loss, memory issues, this all leads to later on possibly an increase in Alzheimer's and dementia, and that is a absolutely terrible disease. So even if you were able to live from 100 years old, say, to 200, would you want to? There's so many issues that are revolving around immortality that first we don't even know which way we're going to be able to become immortal, whether it's going to be through medicine or whether it's going to be through uploading our brains and technology, the technological revolutions, or maybe we're going to be cyborgs and using robot pieces. I mean, there's so many options. And if medicinal, is it going to be through pharmaceuticals, or is it going to be through operations? Is it going to be 3D parts? Is it going to be a mix of technology and medicine? And this is a foundation alongside the SENS Foundation and so many others that Vitalik Buterin and so many other billionaires are donating to, because first of all, they want to live past 100 years old. That's the number one thing right now. Second of all, this goes and attacks all the diseases of this world right now. We have to figure out a cure to cancer, but we can't. It's just like tinnitus. There is not going to be one cure for tinnitus, not one cure for cancer. We have been able to eradicate some cancers, but there's new ones, and it's just constantly this back and forth battle, right? You probably know somebody who was able to fight cancer and win it, and you probably might know some other people who unfortunately died from cancer. These are things that aren't going to be fixed within the next 10 years, but by the time we're 80, 90 years old, maybe we're able to live an additional 30 years. And as long as that's in good health, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that, right? And you're probably going to say, well, this is going to be super expensive technology. Yes, just like space travel will. And then 10 years later on, thanks to capitalism and competition, the prices will be forced to drop. And then the average person, you and me, will be able to fly to Mars, hopefully, and live an extra few decades. And that sounds like a pretty sweet deal to me. Even if we're not going to be the generation to be immortal, what if you have kids? And what if they're going to be able to be immortal? I know it sounds like a crazy concept to a lot of people, but hey, welcome to cryptocurrency. This is the cutting edge technology right now. And machine learning and AI and the influx of data over the next 10 years, this will help us better understand ourselves, the universe, and all the complex questions we have out there. So every single $1 million that's donated is a good thing. That's a fantastic thing. We should be celebrating about this. And yet nobody's really talking about this. So how much did Vitalik Buterin donate to the Methuselah Foundation? It was a hefty amount, and some media outlets were reporting that it was over $300 million, $363 million, but that was from Doge Elon, and that was at the height of its price. And obviously with the crash right now, well, either of these foundations have to sell immediately, and this is a different topic for a different video because this gets really complex. Basically, there was this Pineapple Foundation which donated $100 million to various charities, and charities had this huge problem. Hey, what do we do with this money? Do we hold on to it? Do we sell it? What about taxes? How can we avoid that? How could we avoid paying huge fees? And it was a pretty big problem for many of these charities. So I'm sure not many of these charities were able to sell a tie before the prices crashed. But even if they crashed 99%, an extra few $1 million is still 100 times better than the average person giving a little bit here and there.
So one of the primary concerns is liquidity around his transactions. So first of all, the donation includes 1,000 Ether, which should be pretty good in terms of volume, since if you look at the past 24 hours, there's tens of billions of dollars worth of Ethereum floating around. And 1,000 Ethereum was worth $3.4 million yesterday, and right now it's still very close to $3 million. Dog Elon had a total market cap over $200 million, which isn't a lot. So technically, with the fall of Dog Elon, Vitalik Buterin gave what essentially was $336 million, but the daily trading volume as of yesterday for Dog Elon was just $27 million, so it's going to be very difficult to cash that amount out. Maybe it's going to be, crashing to a quarter, a fifth, a tenth of its value, which is still a lot of money, right? If we look exactly how much Vitalik Buterin gave, he gave out more than 16,000 Ethereum along with some of the dog-themed tokens. The largest tranche was 13,292 Ethereum that was sent to GiveWell, a non-profit charity assessment organization. Then he sent the 1,000 Ethereum and 430 billion Elon tokens to the Methuselah Foundation, which focuses on making people live longer. And he sent 1,050 Ethereum to the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, which focuses on ensuring that AI has a positive impact. And he has already sent money before to the MIR Institute. But he has a common theme. If he really likes the foundation, he's going to continue sending. He also sent 500 Ethereum and 10% of his total SHIB tokens, which was 50.6 trillion tokens to Crypto COVID. It was a relief fund for India. He also gave 49 trillion Akita to Ethereum-focused grants program Gitcoin's community multisig. So altogether, all of these tokens technically had a paper value of around $1.1 billion and $443 million respectively, but most of them are fairly illiquid. For example, Akita only could be sold for around $5 million on the DEX Uniswap. Now, still $5 million is a fair amount. He also gave 500 Ethereum to Charter Cities, which looks to support charter cities around the world. So that's pretty cool.
Thanks for watching today's video, guys. If you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button, and let me show you in YouTube analytics how close we are to 1,000 subscribers and how fantastic recently everything's been growing. Slowly but steadily, and that's the most important part. So the channel has gotten 42,000 views so far. That was within a few month time period from December 29th, but the first day we didn't even upload anything. I think our first video was December 31st or something like that. 3.1 thousand watch hours, and currently it's 976 subscribers. Recently we had well over 80, or sorry, just under 80, 78.5, and here was another great day, 78.1. We are approaching the major goal, which is to have 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. We're going to beat that this week, and we're going to beat that hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm super excited that we could get monetized, that our channel is going to grow, hopefully exponentially. First step to 1 million. So thank you to everyone. So I appreciate every single one of you. Have a great one. Bye.